I enjoy what I would call the applicable notion of teaching. I think sometimes all of us fall into the theoretical and the critical thinking, which are important, but I think many of the students also demand that applied. How do I carry that into a job? So I try to straddle both of those areas, and I'd like to think that my coursework and what I do does that. My career arc has largely revolved around athletics. I've been a huge sports fan all my life, and started off being a sports information director at the U.S. Naval Academy, and the star basketball player at the time was David Robinson, who became a Hall of Famer in the NBA. And interestingly, the point guard on that team was Doug Wojcik, who is our current head basketball coach at the College of Charleston. So it's amazing how things come full circle. That was back in 1986-87. Then I worked for 8 years at Mary Washington College as a sports information director. Then I decided to get my PhD, where I went to Athens at UGA and got a degree in journalism and mass comm with a PR emphasis. And then I got an interview at Charleston and never been here. The interview went well, I got the job, and I've been here ever since. Immediately when I got here, wanted to ingratiate myself with the athletics program because I wanted to be involved, just not in a full-time capacity. And from day one, I joined the Cougar Club. I got on their board. I do a lot with the athletes. And then several years ago, President Benson asked me to be the faculty athletic representative, which I really enjoy. And I've done that off and on even before then as a volunteer and helped out. So for 15 years, I've been very active working as a liaison between our faculty and our athletic teams, and I really enjoy being involved. A number of years ago, because of my love for sports and a couple of my friends at Athens wanted to do some sports research, we have teamed up, a guy from LSU and a guy from Georgia have written 6 or 7 articles and have gotten a stream about the internet and how college athletics and social media and the internet have changed the way fans have sort of integrated and followed their teams, and the pressure to communicate through these channels rather than more traditional channels, sort of newspapers and television that are sort of being pushed in the background. So the capstone course demands a lot more of my time away from the pedagogical. I don't do as much prepping for class, but I do a lot more sort of working with them on the side meetings, group efforts, a little bit more facilitation. It's a little bit more of an adult person class, for lack of a better term. It's like we all think our students grow as they're here, but when they have the capstone course, they need to be ready to go out in that outside world, and we try to give them that external experience, at least in my class. I actually really enjoy the median digital age, or 60 people, and not that you can't get the same individual attention with 60 that you can with 20 or 15, but I've always enjoyed that class because I show a lot of video and do a lot of links, and students will watch Walter Cronkite talk about John F. Kennedy's death or other clips or other historical things, and students have heard of it but never even grasp of how we've gotten to where we are. And I think that class, more than any, opens up their eyes of what really cool and really bad and really interesting things that happen out there. So many students are focused on the prize, test, paper, grade, next test, paper, grade. And I try in that class to say, you know what, we're going to have some fun today. You're going to see how the 60s and 70s and 80s shaped your parents' lives and grandparents. So now you know why we're here. I'm a fan of sports and the playing of them, and I like the underdog, and I like March Madness, and I like all these things. But I also like to watch some of our teams that don't get a lot of people, like volleyball and others, and watch them because I've had them in class and I enjoy them. So I say College of Charleston's is my team. I really enjoy the flexibility of being a professor. I have an 18-year-old daughter who's going to college, and it allows me to spend some time and do things that when I worked in athletics, I worked games during the evening and on the weekends. And I came to work during regular hours, so I was always busy. So when I first got married, my wife is bringing me food at a game. I'm catching up with her late at night. This is before we had the internet or cell phones to make our jobs easier. I had to do a lot of things old school in the 80s and 90s. So it's been much more interesting for me to enjoy athletics and enjoy my passions. And this way, the teaching keeps me young. I still do one thing that I'm really proud of is I do a lot of service for the school, but I do service that's a little bit more macro and bigger picture. I do a lot with academic affairs in the president's office. I'm in charge of the Colonial Athletic Association transition. We joined this new conference, and I work with several different groups a coalition to try to get us involved with these other schools. These are our benchmark, our schools such as William and Mary and James Madison they are very similar to us in the type of student they're drawing and the faculty research. So I've been asked as part of an initiative I'm doing with the president and the provost to lead that initiative this year. It was called a presidential fellowship. The interesting thing is, first of all, when I came to the department, we probably had maybe 10 faculty members.
Wow.
And that was 15 years ago. Now we have probably 24. So a lot has changed. I was the new kid on the block. No boy band pun intended, even though that was about their time. Now I'm sort of the old grizzled veteran. So as far as what they don't know, I mean, I think they know that I'm passionate about my service. Both the department and the school know me as the athletic person, which I actually embrace. I mean, I do a lot more than that. I think people realize that I get involved. I was the head of our graduate program for a while. I do a lot of things, but I enjoy being the athletic person. I enjoy being the service person. I enjoy being the one who tries to pitch in and help out. I'm the goofy one. I write the funky things on Facebook that are a little bit self-deprecating. So I think as far as what they don't know is I think one thing that I haven't really told anybody too much, but what I want to do in my third phase, my first phase was getting tenure and getting published, and my second phase is sort of my leadership. So my final phase, I just got promoted to professor, which I'm very excited about, is I want to do something more on a national level.